YCS Vegas has come and gone, and can you feel the Tier 0 format, Mr. Krabs? Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Your top 16 for the Team YCS. Yeah, this breakdown is an absolute crapshoot. If you're expecting something super exciting here, the voiceless voice innovations are going to be about the most exciting thing here. 22 Fire King Snake Eyes. 18 Snake Eyes? Is that over 70% of your top 16 field? Yeah, it is. Honestly, we've reached that point in the format where you just look at this and you go, emergency ban list? Now, the most interesting thing I think in your top 16 here was you had 5 voiceless voice decks holding on and actually showcasing like how strong they can actually be, and I like that a lot. Now, we also had a Rescue Ace. Flaunderies actually was doing very, very strong for this meta, which that's the kind of stuff I like to see. And we also had Purely. Now, breaking on into your top 8, 11 Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes actually takes the lead here for what we're going to call the abnormality phase, because top 8 from the top 16 is a little bit of a shakeup in terms of what you expect. All of your voiceless voice players are still holding on here as well. All 5 of them managed to make their way on in to the top 8, which was honestly pretty cool to see. And then we also had 1 Flunder and 1 Rescue Ace still holding up here. Now, top 4, this is where your devastation starts to happen. Where did all the rogue go, everybody? Why is our pie chart 6 Snake Eyes, 5 Fire Kings, and 1 voiceless voice? What's going on here? You know, the current format, if you play any of the rogue decks, you're supposed to have options. No, unfortunately, Fire is just battling it out with each other here, devastating the wasteland that is this event. And your grand finals was 4 Snake Eyes versus 2 Fire King, showcasing that, well, unfortunately, you're shifting around in the meta right now. You're seeing these big differences in the numbers, and it's not all that exciting to talk about right now. You know, I want to see some change in the meta, but this is crazy to see your turnover for this. Well, welcome to Tier 0. Let's pass on over to this deck list. First place team here is, well, the Hani list, and you guys do see the crossout designators here doing some fantastic work for this. The 1-for-1. Yes, I still love to see this card. You got the Nibs. You're also only playing 1 Droll and Logbird in the main. Droll does not feel as fantastic as it once was for this meta. You can make an argument and say that it is good for cutoff points, but it's doing its thing. I also see post side decking here. We try to become more like Snake Eyes, where you do bring in a Flamberge Dragon, and you also bring in the Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes here, actually kind of giving this deck some interesting interactions. I hadn't really considered trying to extend out here and try out things like Divine Temple or the Flamberge Dragon in the side deck to try to up your numbers for different levels of consistency. That's quite interesting. I've not seen anybody up until this point actually exploring the option here of trying to do that. So to me, that's innovation for this format. We have our Purely Duelist back here. For those of you that are huge Purely fans and you're looking around in the format, you're like, what do we do, Robbie? Like, how do we play this deck? Well, I mean, evidently Big Unaffected Cat is very, very affectable, and especially when your opponent's slamming down these huge fields on you. You would think that, like, more maybe on the local level that this would be better, but ever since the limitations between these, the deck's consistency rate has gone down the garbage. We also have Dimensional Fissure down here being your side deck option of choice. You don't really have much of a choice right now. You're kind of forced to play this. I'm actually surprised that they got away with not playing this in the main, honestly, but you don't want to have this come up in a game where, you know, you're going second because you're like, oh, well, you know, I now have a dead draw. You need to play as consistently as you can. Also, this build being forced to actually play crossout designators right now because the pure amount of hand traps in this format is devastating. All right, we also have, more fire. Yes. This Foolish Return, ever since the Invitational, and we saw this show up, a lot more people have been looking at this and going, well, hey, you know, it literally selects any monster in the graveyard and kicks it back into the deck. So, you know, a Promethean Princess down or something stupid, you know, like the gimmick Puppet Lock that we saw during the UDS. Foolish Return gives you that option to kick it on back, and you're able to do your thing. I also see, once again, the 1-for-1, those cross-out designators. Gotta love the fact that Arvada is now standardized in these fire lists, because the negate is actually insane. Being able to pressure your opponent with this stupid card and be able to go, well, you know, we can pop, have the interruption. You know, I no longer have to worry about anything scary that my opponent could put on the field. I mean, that's an absolute win, right? You gotta love negations. All right, what else we got? More fire. No, this is a little bit something that I could get a little bit used to back here. Seeing these deltas, you have seen Delta fall a little bit out of favor right now. And that's not to say that Delta is bad. No. What I'm saying is you've got people playing Flamber's Dragon down here, trying to rotate through, trying these other different lines, which is good. And then you do see things like Delta that can come up, and, I mean, Gamma's an insane card as it is. Especially if your opponent tries to Ash your key activation of, like, something a long way, and you just are able to resolve this. More bodies on the field for you to be able to capitalize and do your thing. Also, this card has been a huge MVP of the current format. Summon Limit puts the game in such a weird light right now that, like, this card steals games if your opponent does not physically have an out for this. Like, it's disgusting. Team Voiceless Voice. Talk about an entire team out here trying out the combinations and the ideas of, hey, you know, we want to try out these different Voiceless Voice builds and try our thing. You do see here that we are playing the Saravis as a 2-of. I think the TCG pretty much has all unanimously agreed that going with the double Saravis line is actually a lot better. This build also is side decking the Pendulum Graph. Do we have any... No, we don't have anything in the extra deck to toggle around with this. We've seen that the OCG's been trying out Meteor Burst Dragon with this. I do, once again, I like the idea of the little things that you can cheese out with this. This build also sporting off Phantasme. Don't get me wrong, Phantasme is such an incredibly strong card where it needs to be, especially when, you know, this format is just Link format all over again, with the increasingly large filters, the hand sculpting options that you've got going for you here. It's natural that you would want to play this card to try to fix those hands. A slight changeroo here. This build went down to playing 40 cards, which, I mean, once again, it's player's choice. You do see the double Saravis options available for you, so you can do your thing. The Pot of Prosperity. This card is actually kind of insane. Still playing the triple Super Poly. You have the double Soul Release in here to maintain those options on your opponent, and, of course, those summon limits, yet again, making sure that, you know, you can lock the game in your favor to pressure your opponent. And the last member of Team Voiceless Voice actually is playing the Nadir Servant packaging. You kind of get a flavor of everything here with this, which is actually kind of cool. You know, the Nadir Servant package I'm not a super big fan of, but I mean, access to Maximus is pretty good. Maximus can put insane pressure on your opponent and just allow you some BS interactions like this thing. Being able to actually deploy this card on your opponent will probably win you a free game. All right, and then we also have, we have our Flunderies Duelist. If you were wondering, oh my gosh, you know, what's Flunder doing right now? Flunder's forced to make bad life decisions because they actually have to main deck the Dimensional Fissures right now because this format is dog water. Unfortunately, this build is not played in any Feather Storms in the main. It's kind of unfortunate that you don't get the chance to, you know, take the free advantage where you can. I love this card, but you cannot really, you can play one of it if you want to with a lot of the other lists, but like, you're dedicating your slots to the Evenly still. You have this, you do have the one Dark Roller No More in here, so you can kind of go ahead and pummel, or at least attempt to play through fields. And like post side decking, I mean, you have the additional copies of these as you need to, alright? Like, the Flu has enough option trees that it can decide which path lines it needs to go down to make the most optimal decisions. I think this is all fine. We have a Rescue Ace Duelist. Okay. So in the current state of Rescue Ace, you know, you would think that the TCG version of this would be a little bit better. You know, oh boy, our lifters at 1. But this deck has so many issues right now. It's actually crazy what a consistency bop on the head did. I mean, you still have full emergencies, you can still go down full lines of play, but like, this deck has to make some bad decisions. You do see that we are playing buy steals down here in the side deck. This gives you the ability to pressure your opponent. The blog did talk about that buy steals had a pretty strong presence this weekend, you know, giving you some massive pressure options, you know, detouring away those big threats from your opponent. Yeah, like, it's all about fire, fire, fire right now, but having these be pressure cards for your opponent's pretty good. Oh, also, this little cool card here. We've seen how cool Solemn Strike actually can be for helping you along the way with the meta. So Rescue is doing pretty strong here. And then we have one more voiceless voice list here. Once again, you see all of your lists so far, double Saravis. I know, right? It's so strange to see that Saravis, Odd Eyes Pendulum Graph, not even really worth sporting off in the mains out here. You do see 42 cards in the main, which kind of is interesting. No Dear Servant package in here. You are maximizing on Veilers, Imperms. You know, you want to make sure that those cards are going to get things done. And then, of course, you also have Ghost Bells and Mourner that you're able to bring in depending on how bad the situation looks in your favor. So you've got plenty, once again, option trees for this deck in order to do its thing. But Voiceless Voice, I think, is very, very settled in right now and is doing its thing. So what do you guys think about the breakdown for Tier 0 YCS Land Vegas? Ha ha ha, what a format. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here today, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.